Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Princeton, where in our open and welcoming community, we live our message of hope, love, justice, and joy. If you're visiting with us this morning, we're really happy that you've joined us, and we'd love to get to know you better. If you haven't already stopped by our newcomer table, please do so after the service. We can answer any questions that you have and get you information about our many different ministries and program events that we have. We'll add you to our e-list. That's the best way to keep up with the many, many different things that are happening here at UU Princeton. One big thing is happening next Sunday after worship. You can join the members of the UU Princeton's Rainbow Ministry for another session exploring how our faith calls us to fight against transphobia. On July 6th, after the service in Foz, Rainbow will screen this year's Where lecture from the Unitarian Universalist Association's General Assembly, which just concluded last week. Listening to journalist and activist Amara Jones help us unpack our understanding and plan to work against the scapegoating and suppression of trans folks in America and elsewhere. So plan to stay after worship next Sunday, July 6th, for that film, or for watching the video of the speech, and then you can discuss it with members of Rainbow Ministry. And now, grateful for each and welcoming all, let us be together for this hour of peace and balance and breath. Let us pause to remember the good and to seek the true, and to witness again the diverse, creative beauty known best in beloved community. Come, let us worship together.
You can only share your soul with whoever welcomes you. Layla Gifty Akita.
And please join in the unison affirmation printed in your order of service. I dream a world where one person, no other person will scorn, where love will bless the earth and peace its paths adorn. Okay, Mason Grace Kelly, you're up. Pleased to invite Mason and her parents and her godparents, please, to all come to the front and stand by Reverend Jennifer. Friends and family, on this sacred day, we gather to dedicate and bless Mason Grace Kelly, born of Jenna and Connor, and beloved child of creation. This blessing is a celebration of the new life that flows through her, the love in which she is surrounded, and the holy and human care that will be with her throughout her life. We celebrate her birth and pray gratitude for the mystery and magic of her being. And before the holy, with thanksgiving and joy, and with resolve and commitment, we dedicate ourselves to her well-being. We as a congregation will care for her and her parents for as long as our lives are intertwined. Welcome to this space of dedication, of naming, and of blessing, a space made sacred by the love within, among, and beyond us all. We begin with the pledge of Mason's parents. Jenna and Connor, to you is entrusted the sacred responsibility of raising this child in love, with joy, with stability, and guidance. She'll learn what it means to be a human from you, how to be a good person, how to be honest, to be concerned with others, to be forgiving, to be strong and creative and resilient. She'll learn her laughter from you and her sense of hard work and how she likes to play and create things. She'll become a good friend by watching you be good friends, and she'll learn to love by watching you love one another. As she grows, you'll see yourselves and each other and those before you in her unfolding life. And yet you'll also see the ways in which she is her own unique expression of grace and beauty in the world. She is a gift placed into your eager and more than capable care. And though parenthood is overwhelming for everyone at some points, with a supportive family and great friends who pitch in when needed, all that passes. And what abides is the love that will only grow between you and your little one. Will you continue to raise Mason with all of the love that you hold for your lives? If so, please say we will. Thank you. And now for Mason's grandparents, Mary Ellen and Barry Finan and Nancy Rodino, will you please stand? What a joyful day for you that those you love are now raising another you love. You are the story bearers in Mason's life, the ones to connect her with ancestors now and gone, and with places she's never been, and with experiences that helped form her long before she drew her first breath. You'll help her understand her life as one piece of a large and beautiful tapestry, and that will provide her with warmth and place and a sense of home that will stay with her for her whole life. And as her grandparents, you get to spoil her. You can sneak her the cookies, you can top off her juice, you have free reign for all of that. And she'll know that throughout her life, with you, there is a love that will always hold and comfort her. Will you bring this love into Mason's life? Thank you. And we invite everyone else in Mason's larger family of birth and choice to please stand. The growth of a family is always cause for celebration, and the newest among you will come to know herself by watching and listening to your words and actions. She is one who will come to know herself as one of you as your lives unfold in all times together. And she'll learn everything that you teach and model for her. Will you be of love and grace and service in Mason's life, that she will learn these qualities and more by the ways in which you live? Thank you. And now for the godparents, Amanda and Mark McGowan, you may be seated. This can happen in absentia if it needs to.
You could just royal we it and speak for the two of you.
Amanda and Mark, to you is entrusted the joy and responsibility of being uniquely pledged to Mason, of connecting with and nurturing her, of providing care and guidance for her, and of helping her grow to be good and just through the examples of your lives. Your love and care are to surround her in all the big moments, as well as all the little ones in between, as she grows to know that through you there are always adults to help and encourage and care for her. And in the covenant between parents and godparents, your care of her is really care of her parents, as in this promise you are strengthening and balancing them as their lives as mom and dad unfold. Will you be faithful and true as Mason's godparents, making sure that she always knows that your love surrounds her? Mark, your line is we will.
Just in time.
And now for our congregation, please turn to responsive reading 714 in the back of your hymnal.
I've got it.
Oh, you should do it.
And if you would repeat with the words in italics. It is our faith that each child born is one more Redeemer. Are you ready to dedicate yourselves to Mason Grace? We are prepared. We dedicate our minds and hearts to this child and to your presence. Will you strive to love and cherish Mason in times of struggle as well as gladness? We will love and cherish him always. We acknowledge the divine spark within each child. May we be worthy guardians of this young life. May we build a community in which she will grow old, surrounded by beauty, embraced by love, and cradled in the arms of peace.
Mason, we now bless you with the sacred elements of nature. May they help you know yourself as a child of creation, linked in body and spirit to the ancestors and the earth for all of your days. May you be blessed by air. May the winds of the sky dance around you. May you always breathe the air of freedom. And may the ancestors whisper words of wisdom and courage in your ears. May you be blessed by fire. May the warmth of the flame expand love in your heart. May you have a passion for life, for justice, for creating things, and for the vocations that your imagination call you to engage. And may you be blessed by water, this water collected by your congregation during our water communion service in the fall. May water bring the blessings of clarity and cleansing when you've been wounded or take a wrong step. May you feel the tide of healing and forgiveness rise to bring you toward wholeness again. And may you be blessed by earth, by dirt, by mud. May this little bit of soil remind you to play on the earth with joy, to walk gently upon her, and to be well-rooted in love and freedom and compassion.
And now for our rose blessing. We touch you, Mason, with this flower, a symbol of life's beauty, wet with water, symbol of purity and freshness, the source of which all life springs, upon your brow, upon your hands, and upon your lips. May your thoughts, words, and actions be guided and supported through your life with love and compassion. And as this flower unfolds, may so your life unfold in splendor and joy. That was affirmation. That was affirmation.
It's right here. Jenna and Connor, please say aloud the name you've chosen for your child.
Mason Grace
And Mason Grace Kelly, in the presence of the holy, the company of the ancestors, and in this circle of your congregation and your family, we bless the name your parents have given you, the body that holds your spirit, and the new, ageless life flowing inside of you. Mason Grace, born whole and holy, born blessed and a blessing, born one more Redeemer. Praise be for your life and your soul. May your life unfold in wonder and joy. May you love and be loved, and may you know peace and be at peace in all your days on this earth. Congregation, let us send our blessing to this baby. We do that by blowing her a great big giant kiss. Prayer this morning is from the pen of Dr. Pamela Lightsey, a professor at Meadville Lombard Theological School, one of our Unitarian Universalist seminaries. This one's in Chicago. I invite you to join together in the spirit of prayer. May the great gift of peace descend upon our lives, even in the midst of unease and violence and hostility. May that gift stir within us a yearning for the peace of others. Where there exists tension, may we learn to use that tension to negotiate reconciliation. Where there exists violence, may we tap into our measure of peace in solidarity with others who work toward just resolutions. May the peace within us make us uneasy when we lead towards acts that would divide or hinder the work of love. Let the peace that is a light in our lives bring healing to our minds and bodies and spirit. Let the healing open our eyes ever the more to places in our world that are in dis-ease. Let us not be starry-eyed dreamers of healing when we are clear about where we are hurt, but eagle-eyed agitators for global healing in all contexts. May our healing give us a strong desire for the healing of the land that every day we draw upon for health and well-being. And as we receive, so let us give. And here in the silence of this sacred space, we offer these, the prayers and meditations of our hearts. May it be so, and amen.
Good morning. When I was a teenager and sitting around with my friends with nothing to do, my friends would sometimes look at each other and say, "Let's go hang out with Jeannie's mom." It was a little embarrassing for me, but we'd troop off to my house. Mom would generally drop what she was doing, greet each of my friends by name, look them in the eye, and talk to all of us like we really had something to say about everything from birth control to politics. She was a cool mom. I was not a cool mom when my kids were teens. I could never reproduce Mom's particular brand of warmth. I'm reserved by nature, and I didn't have the knack of immediately connecting. Plus, I was a little more concerned with the rules and a little less laissez-faire than my free-spirited mother. I was more of an enforcer and not so much of a pal. I guarantee you that my kids' friends never asked to come to my house to hang out with me. But I nonetheless tried to channel Marianne Jackson when my son announced recently at the last minute that several of his girlfriend's family members would be dropping by in 5 minutes. I spun through the house on a whirlwind cleaning spree, took some deep breaths, and tried to be as relaxed and warmly welcoming as I could be. My mother also offered a lesson in welcoming by offering an open door when my brothers and I were young adults. We knew we would always find a home in her home. That policy extended not only to myself and my brothers, but also to my younger son and a parade of relatives who would drop by her Brooklyn apartment on their way to the airport or en route to New York. I think there were a few ingredients to Mom's secret sauce that apply to how we greet visitors here at UUCP. Mom was an engaged and active listener who asked questions, a skill she sharpened when she became a psychologist later in life. We do a great job welcoming people at UUCP, but maybe this is where we can take welcoming to the next level. As I reflect on the lessons I learned in my family, I also think about our family get-togethers. These tend to be large, chaotic affairs with lots of food and a steady stream of immediate family members and friends. And inevitably, we find ourselves gathered around the piano sometime during the party to sing through our repertoire of folk songs and rock and roll. I love this part of our family parties, and it means a lot to me, especially since my mother, who has dementia, still joins in. But over the years, I've come to see that not everyone wants to sing or is as charmed with the sing-alongs as we are. I've seen that the way my siblings and I have seen that the way we can focus on each other sometimes makes visitors and even spouses feel excluded. We've all realized that we need to wait for the right moment and spend some time talking to those who aren't participating in our jamboree. I think of this because I know so many of us here at UUCP have strong bonds with each other. This means we can easily slip into deep and intense conversations at coffee hour about our lives, the current state of the world, and upcoming events and activities. Those conversations are the glue that bind us. I wouldn't suggest we stop talking any more than I would suggest my family stop making music. But I do think we can look around to see if we can engage the strangers among us in those conversations, or move on to find the people who are standing alone with their cup of coffee. We should all recognize our strength and our commitment to welcoming the stranger here at UUCP. It is a valuable gift in these dark days to have wide open doors and a space in which all who enters is welcome. We can't all be Marianne Jackson, but we can all keep working on our welcoming skills by working to engage others more deeply. We can, as the song says, draw the circle wide. Thank you.
Sam, if you don't know, we said goodbye to Sam a few weeks ago, but he's headed up to start a PhD program at the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana. I got it right? Yeah. It's an opportunity he deeply wanted. We're very happy that you have it, although we will miss you. If life brings you anywhere near Princeton, I mean anywhere near Princeton, come on back and see us again. Our first reading is a poem titled "This Being Human is a Guest House" by Rumi, the great Sufi Muslim. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. And our second reading is a piece titled "The Connection Between Strangers" by Miles Goodwin, The Connection Between Strangers. On June 23, 1960, I had just been mustered out of the Army after completing my one-year tour duty in Vietnam. I was a 23-year-old Army veteran on a plane from Oakland, California, returning to Dallas. I had been warned about the hostility many of our fellow countrymen felt toward returning NAM vets at the time. There were no hometown parades for us when we came home from that war. Like tens of thousands of others, I was just trying to get home without incident. I sat in uniform in a window seat, chain smoking and avoiding eye contact with my fellow passengers. No one was sitting in the seat next to me, which added to my isolation. A young girl, not more than 10 years old, suddenly appeared in the aisle. She smiled and without a word timidly handed me a magazine. I accepted her offering, her quiet welcome home. All I could say was thank you. I do not know where she sat down or who she was with, because right after accepting the magazine from her, I turned to the window and wept. Her small gesture of compassion was the first I had experienced in a long time. I believe in the connection between strangers when they reach out to one another. The young girl undoubtedly has no memory of what happened years ago. I like to think of her as having grown up, continuing to teach others and teaching her children to do the same. I know she might have been told me to give me the gift by her mother. Her father might still have been in Vietnam at that point, or maybe he had not survived the war. It doesn't matter why she gave me the magazine. The important thing is she did. Since then, I have followed her example and tried in different ways for different people to do the same thing for them. Like me on that long ago plane ride, they will never know why a stranger took the time to extend a hand. But I know that my attempts since then are all because of that little girl. Her offer of a magazine to a tired, scared, and lonely soldier has echoed throughout my life. I have to believe that my small gestures have the same effect on others. And to that little girl, now a woman, I would like to take this opportunity to say again, thank you. And there ends the readings. If you've seen the film Forrest Gump, you may remember a scene from near the beginning of the movie in which a young Forrest boards a school bus for the first time. He appears to be boarding near the end of the route, as there are no two-person seats completely empty, only two-person seats with one person already in them. Forrest, by this point in the film, is clearly bullied by the other kids, or they shun him, and he approaches each open seat on the bus. As he does so, child after child slides over to occupy the full seat and barks, "Seat taken." It begins to look like Forrest will not have a seat at all. He stares expressionless around the bus for a moment or two until a magical little girl named Jenny, sitting by herself on a seat, slides towards the window and offers him the space next to her. He sits down, and a lifelong relationship follows. Later in the film, Forrest finds himself on another bus, surrounded again by people he doesn't know as he heads off to boot camp during the Vietnam War. This bus scene mirrors the earlier one, as guy after guy slides over to occupy the open seat and tell Forrest, "Seat taken." Again, it looks as though Forrest will not have a place to sit down until Bubba, the shrimp boat guy, slides over next to the window, offers Forrest a seat, and proceeds to convey to Forrest an exhaustive list of all the dishes one can make with shrimp. The list goes on in the film, spanning days and weeks, covering every imaginable culinary concoction involving shrimp. Forrest seems interested in all of this. Me, I would not have been so interested. Maybe a couple of dishes, maybe his favorite one or two and how to cook them, but I would have tired of the shrimp talk at some point. Forrest, however, is into it, and this chance meeting turns into another friendship that blesses both of their lives. In both of these vignettes, we see someone in moments of exclusion receive the embrace of another, and both are blessed by the embrace. We can relate to this. Haven't we all been the young person boarding a bus and not knowing where to sit? Or haven't we all been someone walking into a cafeteria and not knowing which table will be friendly? Or going to a new school or new work and walking into the space and feeling so many strange eyes upon us? Haven't many of us grown into adults who, despite our accumulation of years, still experience that same sense of exclusion and anxiety when we find ourselves feeling alone among others in new settings? And in that lonely, uncertain place, what a difference a simple smile and a gentle welcome can make. Even the expectation of rejection and exclusion can create this desert between people. Sometimes just imagining ourselves as excluded or rejected can be more than enough to make sure that it will happen. Sometimes it only takes this monologue, not a dialogue, to write us out of a relationship. Because of past realities and our own worries, sometimes we expect exclusion, we anticipate rejection. Forrest, having been rejected often in life, may have grown into one who stopped even hoping for inclusion. Had Forrest boarded that bus every day and never had a place to sit, he may have one day stopped looking. Sometimes antisocial behavior is based on antisocial experiences. When the welcomes are non-existent, sooner or later we just stop expecting them. As a result, when we gather together in a beloved community like our congregation, we make welcoming and acceptance intentional and consistent. We see this in our congregation, in almost every congregation, every week through the personal and proactive efforts of various welcoming ministries. Each newcomer is sought solely so that they can be welcomed. The greeting is eagerly given so that the visitor knows that we exist for them on Sunday mornings, and so that the space between us is less desert-like and more garden-like. We also see it in initiatives like the Welcoming Congregation, the Unitarian Universalist campaign that seeks to create an atmosphere of embrace and welcome for BGLTQ plus people who experience a level of rejection common in organized religion and surging in today's political climate. It's not really enough to be casually welcoming here. Larger religious trends toward exclusion are too pervasive for the casual welcome. The welcome has to be explicit and intentional and systemic. We're also intentional about welcoming a sort of spiritual and theological diversity. Believing that revelation is ongoing and found in many places and throughout time, we welcome a broad approach to experiencing and understanding how the Spirit moves in our lives. In our history, this developed along a line of thought in which people came to believe that everyone can directly experience the divine, and that whatever the divine is, it's ultimately beyond all of our human categories of description. The divine is not so much provable through theology or science as much as it is experienced in hearts and minds and community. When it comes to belief, over time, prove it came to mean less for us, and experience it came to mean more and more in our shared spiritual journeys. And our welcomes are intentional through the ministries of greeters and ushers, through follow-up letters and calls and mixers that are less formal but just as important in acts of hospitality that many of you create. I love seeing those interactions after church at coffee hour. I know that new greeters are occasionally hesitant to walk up to strangers and welcome them to church, because sometimes we worry that the person we're greeting might actually be a long-term member whom we just haven't met yet. I've heard many of you say that. We think we might offend the person, and who knows, maybe, but don't worry about it. Just greet wildly anyway. You can't really be greeted too often. Over-greeting is better than under-greeting. And if it turns out they've been here for a long time, just laugh about it and have some coffee together. It just means that there's a cool person in the congregation you haven't met yet, and no matter what, there's a bunch of them. We need to be intentional in our welcoming, but not really so serious all the time. It can be light and fun. And if you've been coming for a year or so, you moved from being greeting to greeting others. So that's part of your ministry here now. And if it makes you nervous, just tag along with someone who does it well and learn to find the joy in welcoming people. Just have fun with it, laugh about it, and if you do make a mistake, make a great big giant bold one that people will laugh about for a long time. If you go to any denominational workshop on how to be nice and welcome people, and before long you'll hear the concern raised about how energetically we should be in our welcoming, how energetically we should welcome people. There's a concern often stated that we might resemble evangelical churches by welcoming people too emphatically. Our welcomes should be more reserved and more pensive, more gauged. Now, as a reserved, pensive, gauged person myself by nature, I find myself attracted to these cautions. I may have even voiced them now and again. However, on a practical level, having been welcomed by evangelicals in evangelical churches, trust me, the fear of us being too evangelical in how we welcome people is just not rational. We're not even in that ballpark. I've had lovely, kind, wonderful church ladies meet me in their evangelical foyers, grab me with their evangelical hands, hug me in their evangelical arms, and openly praise their evangelical God for my walking through the door and coming home. I've had men greet me not by saying just hello, but by eagerly grabbing me and saying how good it feels to come to church and get right with God, and that there's a weekly Wednesday night Bible studies and wings meeting that will change my life. And to be clear, I am not mad at any of this. I love it. I did feel welcomed. They were nice people. And having wings at a Bible study, I mean, that's gold. That's a great idea. But it does point to how we're not even close to being too excessive in our welcoming, at least not in any context of scale. Further, I've worshiped at dozens and dozens of Unitarian Universalist churches in different areas of the country over the years, churches that differ widely in size and style, and many welcome well, but none were over the top, even to a quiet guy like me. I have been offered a lot of coffee by our people, which is lovely. And while it is sometimes a prayer answered, it's not exactly a prayer of gratitude raised for my arrival. Each welcoming act is a bridge between two people, always valuable, but particularly so when we live such divided and online lives. We are fenced from one another in so many ways, disconnected from those who think differently, partitioned from those who pray differently, divorced from those who vote differently. We are sectioned off by market qualities so our dissent with one another can profit merchants of hatred and political power. Our distrust of one another is profitable. Our hatred pays them so well. But it costs us our connections and our spirits and our values as the circles in which we can move with curiosity and care get smaller and smaller. When we hate, we get small, and the powerful get more powerful. In some ways, online community could work to remediate part of this, for it is so easy to connect with many others everywhere all the time, and sometimes that happens depending on what we feed and how. But on a larger scale, the algorithms that pay profit from our anger and distrust. The clicks are there. The eye time on those posts and stories, which is measured and tracked, is there. And so the ads are there. We are the products that the ads pay to reach, and the mutual paranoia is what the market believes will connect us with each of these clicks and dollars. And every time the world becomes a little less humane, and over time becomes much less humane. Christine Rosen's new book, The Extinction of Experience, Being Human in a Disembodied World, relays the concern about how little we directly experience one another in a world gone more and more digital, and how that lessens the patience and perspective and general sense of health and balance and goodwill that we can bring to our relationships. And Jonathan Haidt's newest work, The Anxious Generation, How the Great Rewiring of Childhood is Causing an Epidemic of Mental Illness, makes a similar argument, but says that all of that starts very, very young in our kids. Together, they lead one to the conclusion that one can't be fully human in a disembodied world. We need to be people among people to be fully alive, even when, especially when, the people we are with are different than us. We need to read faces and body movements. We need to hear words sounded by the voices of others, not sounded in our heads while being read on a screen. We need the touch of a handshake, the pause of a story becoming tender, the uncertainty of a softened eye at a sad memory, and the huge belly laugh of some uproarious occurrence. We need to be moved by the ending of a great play together, and thrilled by the ending of a great game together, and touched by the ending of a great life together when we gather and remember. We need one another to be fully human, and the more and more digital we become, the more we must be intentional about being together in person as a way to keep growing and to grow together. That's where humanness grows, where life thrives, where relationality is built, and where wisdom is accumulated. It's a space of diversity that can lead to mutual understanding, not agreement, but understanding. It's a humble space of growth and beauty that even the strongest of storms can't destroy. But it has to be built and cultivated. It has to be tended to and cared for. It's a garden that has to be grown through the efforts of people who wish to seed and not destroy. That's what we do each week in our various ways of welcoming. Some do it quietly, some do it loudly. We all have our ways. And the best way for you won't be the best way for others, but whatever it is, it'll be just fine. The key is to welcome one another with loving minds and open hearts, to take joy in meeting the new person, to find them and welcome them after the service, to do the same at every event and program that we offer. For every time we gather, there is the chance to meet someone new or to get to know someone better. There's a chance to grow in spirit and community by practicing that same welcoming that we all desire, that craving that we have to board a bus and not be told that the seats are taken, but instead receive the invitation that this seat right next to me is free. And indeed, the seat is free, and it is good when it is taken by someone we don't know, for to welcome is a blessing, and to be welcome is blessed. Both are generous and kind, and so deeply, beautifully human. And we are glad visitors are here, and we're grateful for the stranger. And holy is the hour when we can come together and grow in our connections, grow in our perspectives, grow in our sense of oneness, and grow in our shared humanity. Blessed and holy is the person who helps create that community here, be they members of decades or visitors of just moments, for each is welcome and each is holy, and all are here, and there are seats for all in this church that proclaims that everyone is worthy and everyone has dignity and everyone is loved. May it be so, and amen. Any baby that makes it through the service after the dedication, you might need a seminary fund one day. Made it through the whole service. That almost never happens. That's great. After the benediction, we invite you to stay where you are. There's a vocal quartet that is through the roof, so you're going to want to hear that. Just have a seat for that piece. At the end of our hour, we extinguish our chalice, knowing that its light carries us until we gather again. Go forth grateful for the moments before you, the breath within you, the people among you, and the Spirit guiding you toward lives of love and kindness. And go forth knowing that you are held always and always with everyone else by that great love of no beginning and never ending. Go in peace, and amen.